Now, let's steam into the news. We've obviously been away for a couple of weeks, and we've had quite a few major stories. The first one, which it kind of seemingly came out of nowhere, was changes at Rex and the kind of potential for the former chairman of Rex to kind of potentially reclaim his position and kind of overthrow the board. It sounds like a kind of civil war. I don't want to over-tabloise it. But what's going on, Jake? What's happening at Rex?
Yeah, so this came a few weeks to a month after the announcement that Lim Kim Hai, the former executive chairman of Rex, was stepping aside, with John Sharp, deputy chairman, to take over as the non-executive chairman, as Neville Howell, the chief operating officer of Rex, steps into the position of CEO. Now, this sort of came across the ASX, I think the end of last week. Lim Kim Hai is now seeking to remove 4 directors from the board, including John Sharp, and appoint 2 new ones. So he wants Sharp gone, he wants Lee Thian Soo gone, Ronald Barch and Jim Davis. He wants them out as directors of Rex. He wants Lim Kang Song and Mukul Sool to be appointed to the board instead. He also wants that any person appointed as director on and from the 5th of July until the end of the general meeting, other than Lim Kang Song or Mukul Sool, be removed as a director. So this was he is able to make this push as a shareholder with a more than 5% stake in Rex, and it's thrown things for a bit of a loop. I think it's fair to say, Adam.
Yeah. So I mean, again, I've got to be very careful in commentating on this because we don't really know what's going on, and in fact, it doesn't sound like many people in Australia media really do know what's going on behind the scenes. But essentially, you've had John Sharp, who had, I think, his title was deputy chairman, and he held that title for 20 years. But in effect, he was running the airline. He was the man on the ground. And above him as executive chairman, you had Lim Kim Hai, who was kind of technically in charge, but was kind of running the operation from Singapore. So Lim Kim Hai stepped away from a kind of a more active role, and John Sharp was effectively promoted to become chairman. And then they had a bit of a wider reshuffle within the team. And now, obviously, clearly there was more to that than meets the eye, because now Lim Kim Hai wants to come back, well, potentially wants to come back, but essentially wants to get rid of the board. So we don't really know what's going on here. I must say that John Sharp is a friend of the show. He's a friend of Australian Aviation. We've had him on this podcast multiple times. I love John Sharp because he has because he's the most disgusting sense of humour, the most beautifully dry sense of humour. He's enjoying his life, but he's also a man that loves aviation. He absolutely adores it, and he also clearly loves Rex. He's been there for 20 years. It is, it's part of him, and it feels very sad to see that somebody that's been at a company for 20 years now is somebody's trying to get rid of them. Now, again, we don't know what the background is there. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but it does seem like a very sad set of circumstances to someone like John, who's given his life to Rex, and certainly a lot of people there, because being a smaller airline, whether you love them or loathe them, they love it. They are invested. This isn't some big sort of soulless corporation. They're not some executives at a bank. This is a life's passion. So this all feels very, very sort of sad and confusing, when you say, Jake.
Yeah, well, and we're going to sort of keep an eye on this as things progress, because it will be interesting to see if we can find out just exactly what's going on at Rex. But hopefully it doesn't cause too much turmoil, because we do need a lot of robust competition in the aviation market, and Rex has been aiming to do that.
Yeah, and as well, don't forget that the Rex did incredibly well to get through that COVID period, because you've got to think that, obviously Virgin went under, Qantas had, it was through supplemented flight, that they still had a hell of a lot of government help. Rex were never in quite that position to get anywhere near that kind of money. So to go through COVID, to get through it in one piece, to be able to launch jet operations as well, which admittedly is still on a smaller scale, but it provides much needed competition to Qantas and Virgin. They've done extraordinarily well. To be that kind of, that underdog that keeps going. So we do really need another third kind of player in the industry. So again, as Jake said, we will keep on top of that.